back to What the Why on RVN Television with your host, me, Barbara. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Do you feel stuck and want to get unstuck in your business, job, or life? Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Well, all of our guests can empathize. At some point, they felt similarly and decided to do something about it. Today is no exception. Please welcome to the show Malcolm Evans, the corporate detox coach, via Zoom from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Malcolm specializes in helping key individuals and teams manage change, skill up, develop adaptability, and build resilience. With his extensive international sales and corporate experience, Malcolm is well versed in the unique and stress-filled challenges faced by his clients, and he equips them with skills, tools, and knowledge to overcome apparent obstacles by recognizing the hidden gifts that can be learned from difficult situations. Malcolm says his values lie in helping his clients overcome toxic, self-limiting beliefs, thus unlocking their potential for personal and professional growth. So if you or your team is seeking to avoid burnout and stress, he is the authority to consult. His motto, "If it is difficult, you're doing it wrong," encapsulates his no-nonsense approach to success. Malcolm's experience includes degrees and certifications in business management, marketing, commerce, coaching, positive intelligence, leadership development, and project management, and more. Suffice to say, we're really excited to talk to him, especially since positive intelligence is something that Malcolm and I have in common. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Malcolm Evans, the corporate detox coach, to our show. So round of applause. Yay, welcome.
Well, hello again, Barbara Ann. How are you?
Hi. So for our viewers, and as you know, you've done a lot of incredible things, and obviously your accent is not what we would call native Southern Georgia. So, Malcolm, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh, I always wanted to be a veterinarian surgeon, look after animals and whatever. But I went off the rails a little bit with education earlier in life, and I discovered things like playing rugby and girls. I came back, later in life, but I had a bit of a educational holiday when I was younger. But yeah, I always wanted to be a vet. I had horses, grew up around them. Family had a farm, and that was it. So just didn't get there.
Which is awesome. Hey, you got to appreciate. I don't trust people that don't like animals. So I knew there was a reason why I liked you so much. So how did you get from wanting to be a vet to being the corporate detox coach?
And I always believe in a conversational gambit. And you're right, I am not originally from the South, but I am from the South. It's just a different one. I'm from Wales in the UK. And I suppose I had two heroes growing up. One was my dad, and one was John Wayne. And they both instilled this sort of sense of you can achieve, you can do what you want, but don't force yourself into a box. Be natural. And I always remember this, and I don't even know whether anyone ever said it really. Go west, young man. When I spread my wings, apparently not very good at geography. I ended up going south. I went to Africa, and went there for a couple of years and liked the animals and the lifestyle, and traveled around for business and so on, and just ended up with a family. And when the time was right, we went back to the UK about 15 years later for schooling and seeing elderly parents, and that was one of the things that prompted me into where I am now.
Wow. So tell us about the corporate detox. As someone who's formerly a corporate employee, also now entrepreneur with lots of stops in nonprofit and government along the way, how do you help people detox from the corporate world?
Well, this is I came out of engineering. I did an electronic apprenticeship in British industry. And if one thing that you need in British industry is a thick skin and resilience. And if you show any weakness, they will pick on you. Okay. So I'm a blue collar boy. Have a lot of very affluent friends and wherever. But I think I can transcend through my experiences of moving out of engineering, moving into sales, then into marketing, then into marketing management, and then in sales management on a national level, and then international, and then global. And I'm not sure whether I said I've been moved across the Atlantic 3 times by 3 separate companies, and I've walked away 3 times.
Wow.
And it's always been for toxicity. Whether it's in the culture in the organization, or whether it's the absolute willingness to invest in the best assets that a company has, and that's the people. And at business school, I learned that we have 3 assets in any business: men, money, and machines. And it's the men or women that take care of the other 2 and create revenue. And anyone that's been in sales knows that sales cures all. But it has to have, but for things to flow naturally, to become, as I say, if it's difficult, we're doing it wrong. It should be an ease and flow to anything that you're doing, and there should be fun in it as well. And so what I do is I get people to take a step back a little bit and consider what are the inhibitors to their success. And often it drills down into some kind of toxic thinking, something that needs a detox. And also I'm very much into the world of wellness because I want to stay vibrant. So hopefully that's an answer.
It's absolutely an answer, because what I heard you say is you're all about health, mind, body, and spirit.
Yep, that's it.
And
I believe it. Again, I always tell people, look, I'm a man. I'm lazy. I'm naturally, I'll find the quickest path between 2 points. And for me, things are always running in 3s. And if we look at consider the triangle, it's the strongest shape that we have, an equilateral triangle. And I believe that mind, body, and relationships all need to be pretty much balanced, because if one is struggling, it'll put pressure on the other areas. If somebody's not earning money, they won't eat well. They don't eat well, they won't look well. Their relationships will decay, and they won't get hired, and it goes on like that. So it's putting the balance into that triangle, and as you know, as a coach, you see the route to it is getting people to open up and ask them the right questions, and they'll talk. We're not teaching people anything. We're bringing what's in them to the surface and removing blockages. Again, coming back to some of the toxins.
Exactly. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people out there now that call themselves coaches, but they tell people what to do. That's not coaching. As you just explained, really, we ask a lot of open-ended questions. And you mentioned ease and flow, so I'm going to throw out another word from that same coaching modality. We use non-judgment and blameless discernment to help them become honest with themselves about what's holding them back. So how did you find...
The
Go
world
ahead.
of coaching, I was introduced to it at quite an early age. It's over the years, it's become sort of like leadership has evolved into what is called coaching now. But at an early age, at maybe 20 years of age, I was playing quite a high level of rugby, or one of the biggest and best known clubs in the world. And I got pulled over by the coach, and in front of pretty much rest of my idols in the game. He tore a strip off me and he said, "You are coming to the training sessions and you're not physically fit. And it's not my job to get you fit. It's my job to bring out the talent that is inside you and integrate a cohesiveness with other players. So you become part of the team.
Wow.
And if you're not prepared to do the work, then probably you don't belong here." Oh wow, my feelings were hurt. I got fit, and I'm glad I did. It's lasted me for many, many years.
Wow. So to your point, doing the work, entrepreneurship is not an easy road. So, and you had this, you went from being, working for these international companies that you chose to walk away from to becoming your own boss. How did you make that decision?
Well, yeah, again, simplifying things, boiling them down. I believe that everyone has three things in them: a business, a book, and a marathon. Okay, and I always joke that, look, if Oprah can do it, anyone can. And I'm a little bit obsessive in some areas, and I ended up as a serial business starter, a serial book writer, a serial marathon runner, and in one of the books that I wrote, and one interview I did, a series I had some years ago, where I would interview authors and talk about their books. I drew a comparison between running a marathon and starting a business, and how the psychological barriers, once you break through them, you get into the ease and flow. And yeah, I kept hitting the wall at a half marathon, 2 miles from the finish line. I'd end up walking.
Yeah.
And that happened 5, 6, 7 times. I just couldn't break out of it. And then someone said, "Hey, why don't we run a longer race?" And I blew through the half marathon. I said, "What happened there?" And I realized then I was the barrier. It was my belief. I was changing my approach as I was running, as I was getting closer to the goal. And there's so many parallels in business that it comes down to what's in us. And there's such a thing as micro quitting. I learned over the years, where the little voices in our head know that we know this, that, hey, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, don't bother trying it, it'll you'll hurt your feelings again, you'll look less than you want to. So people just back away from it, and they again, that's another form of toxicity. So we gradually get those things out.
Wow. Well, believe it or not, it's already time for our mid-show commercial break for our advertisers and sponsors. So when we come back, you hinted on what is my next question, because I want to talk about those powerful three. So audience, please come back for more with our guest, Malcolm Evans, on What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television.
Hello, friends. My name is Malcolm Evans, and welcome to what can be a truly transformative journey towards unlocking your full potential. As a personal performance coach, I serve individuals and teams, and I bring a wealth of diverse experiences. Having lived in a few countries and transitioned through more than a few careers in companies large and small, either as an employee or even as a business owner, I assure you, I fully understand the challenge and the complexities of stress and its impact. And drawing from my life's experiences, I am here to support you in conquering both your personal and business goals with greater ease. I'll help you to identify the stress triggers you have to contend with each day and equip you with effective tools and strategies to navigate any of life's challenges and easily manage occasional or even chronic stresses in your day-to-day activities. Take this simple step, which many others have taken. It has paved the way to prolonged success by simply mastering stress and harnessing your true potential. More potential in career, interpersonal relationships, and even wellness. So if you want more in life, I invite you to join me just for a short conversation and learn about embracing a new life experience, one that's a life filled with resilience, achievement, a sense of calm, and even a long-lasting well-being. So please fill in the form below, the contact form, and let's begin the process. I look forward to speaking to you. Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's special guest, Malcolm Evans. And right before we came back, you got to see a video of Malcolm and some of the work that he does. And if you could just elaborate a little bit more in terms of, you know, how people are able to open up using the tools and approach that you use.
Well, that's great. And thanks so very much for this opportunity to be able to share. And, you know, the capability and the possibility that is inherent in everyone is immense. And we know that just life gets in the way and can suppress their capabilities coming out, their potential coming out. And when we combine this with, you know, this voice in our head that is not always supportive of what we're trying to do, constantly criticizing. Yeah. And it changes whoever you talk to, but say there are 6,000 thoughts we have a day. Can you imagine 5,000 of them working against you? Yeah. Saying, oh no, you shouldn't have done that, you stupid person, you know that wasn't going to work for you. Why did you try it again? Or that person doesn't like you, or you're looking like a fool. And this stuff just it's like a never-ending narrative. So once we tune into some of those things, and within 15 or 20 minutes, the penny is starting to drop. Oh wow, I hadn't really appreciated that was what could be the cause of my, harsh thinking upon myself. Mm-hmm. So this isn't anything to do with mental health. This is all about positivity, mental fitness, mm-hmm. resilience. And I was having a chat with someone yesterday, and they said, well, you left the UK at an early age. I was married at 23, married my high school sweetheart, and off we went to Africa. We didn't have a relative on the continent. And that was a challenge when we needed babysitters and so on coming along.
Yeah.
So it was adaptability, and out of that we grew resilience, we grew creativity, and the ability to assess options and really not stress about the things. We're going to do something and we're going to see what happens. If it works in our favor, we'll do it again. If it doesn't, then maybe we'll adapt, we'll adopt, or maybe improve upon it. Mm-hmm. And that 3-letter or 3-word sort of phrase there was something I learned in a service organization that I used to belong to. It's like a junior version of Rotary. And that in turn gave me a sense of wanting to be involved in business, wanting to be able to help others reach their potential and get rid of some of these barriers. So going back those times, and when I reflect upon them, I can see the seeds of me coming into being a coach. Those seeds were being planted and they were starting to germinate a long time ago.
And then those seeds sprouted. What's one
turned into cabbages
and all kinds of things. What's one thing you wish you had known, or other things that you wish you had known before the seeds sprouted?
That I could do this, and it was okay. And it was okay to, to step out and almost not provoke a conversation with somebody, but to say and step forward, hey, look, if you don't mind me saying, something seems to be wearing you down. Is there a way that I can help? Based on what I've got, who I know, my network, anything like that, or maybe would you just like to talk about something? And I saw this in the corporate world. I worked in a really big company. It was sometimes akin to a small government. There was so much politics there. But the divisional heads were always in competition. And when one of the divisions was really struggling in a financial year, you didn't see the sense of what can we do to share the successful things we've got, a bit of cross-pollination. It was always the competitiveness. And I suppose it wasn't for me after a while. Don't get me wrong, I may be I sound a little bit anti-corporate. I'm certainly not anti-paycheck. It's like, and some of the companies I work for, they were great. They afforded me so much opportunity. But a lot of it came down to culture. And things, the only constant we have is change. And with pressures over the years, culture can suffer sometimes.
So, in terms of growing your business forward, I mean, so much of your message resonates, in terms of possibilities versus competition and fixed mindset. You mentioned earlier about how you realized that you were the one standing in your way in terms of the marathon. Can you give me an example of how you've worked with, recognizing you have to maintain confidentiality, how you help your clients get out of their own way?
Well, and that's a great question. People often ask me because they want examples. Well, but probably one of the most heartwarming for me experiences I've had over this last year is working with a person that could best be described as the ultimate pleaser, having supported a loved one through a terminal illness to a point of conclusion. Person died.
Okay.
And then having that happen 2 times within like a 5-year period. And then also having an elderly mother in assisted living, and all the time trying to be the strong person to support those others, and internalizing her own stresses, her own sort of breakdown in her wellness, but not having an outlet for it. And this just multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. And we know that, the body creates hormones as a result of, we get a thought, we get a reaction, we get a stressor. Hormones are created that, create the fight or flight or wherever. And when these things persist for a long enough period, they can be destructive. And they tend to move out to the joints. Why? Fight or flight, we need muscles, we need articulation to be able to move. Now, those hormones are constantly at work, and they can, create a lot of inflammation. Yeah. And, it's sorry to paint a long picture about this. The person got a heart of gold. She's a lovely person. And we've seen after maybe, after 5 months, where her experience of her pain was diminishing. We changed a couple of things in diet and so on for her or whatever like that, but she said, I haven't been to the pain clinic for a month. I haven't needed medication to help me get through this. My mind is now at more peace, and I feel relaxed, and now I've got the tools to work with. And when somebody breaks down, starts sobbing, it's difficult for me not to, catch up with them.
Yeah.
So that was without naming names and so on, and
Sure.
examples like that. And then when I start working with people in the corporate world, wow, it's adaptive behavior. They're constantly under stress,
Yes.
scared to pop their head up and really be the person.
Yeah.
And that is, they've almost become like a passive aggressive after a while.
Yeah.
And how do I recognize this? I had that for a period of time when I was in the corporate world.
Wow.
In a different country, working under a contract.
Yeah.
Anything went wrong, oh, wow, I have to move my family back to the, back home or wherever. I didn't want to do that, the disruption and so on. So I was internalizing some of these things. But luckily enough, someone stepped up and said, hey, maybe I've got a book you want to take a look at.
Wow.
I'm thankful for them.
And the rest is history. So, believe it or not, we're at time. So, for those who would love to connect with you, learn more about you, your approach, what's the best way for them to do so?
The best way is, in this day and age, is go to the website, mycoachmalcolm.com.
Awesome.
That could be put on the screen because even though people can say Malcolm, there's two M's, two L's, and a couple of vowels in there, but they sometimes one letter down and it makes a difference. And also I've been playing with a little project of late called the Podcasting Pig, and it's about people, ideas and inspiration and growth. And you'll find that out on Spotify as well. And everybody's got creativity in them. We just got to get it out, get out of our own way and just play with this. And I've been writing kiddies books lately as well, but that's another story.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to have you back and talk about that. So, thank you again for sharing your fascinating journey around the world to become the detox coach.
Yeah, it wasn't in 80 days, but and it's not over. It's just gonna start again. We're empty nesters, and I must say, a deep thanks, Barbara Ann, for this. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish you a happy holiday and festive season going ahead for you, and being safe with your loved ones.
Thank you. You too. So, all right. So now, if you loved seeing Malcolm, you don't want to miss any of our other upcoming guests. They run the gamut from business owners to veterans to others who overcame challenges, and you just really don't want to miss their journeys. And if you have missed any of our past guests, you can check out what they had to say on seasons 1 and 2 to date on the on-demand page for What the Why on RVN Television's website. You have so many viewing choices these days, so thank you very much for watching our show, and please tell a friend or colleague about us. Our show airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and Mondays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then becomes available on demand and is available on the RVN Television website, Roku, and coming soon to other platforms. And also please remember, whether you're looking to make changes in your life, no matter how big or small, tune in again for more interesting and illuminating conversations with guests such as Malcolm, who found his path, overcame whatever challenges or obstacles were in it at each and every turn to find his core purpose and live it.